An Airbnb guest runs out in the middle of the night after finding a chair tied up with ropes. A soldier comes home, but something comes back with him. These are real stories from Reddit, told by people who say they barely escaped alive. Maybe they were lucky, or maybe something else let them go. Our first story comes from a Reddit user who, ironically, was a huge fan of true crime podcasts. That little seed of paranoia might be the very thing that saved their life. The user booked an Airbnb that looked perfect on paper. Great reviews, a friendly host, nothing seemed off. When they got there, the host was almost too welcoming. The first real red flag went up when the host, who lived next door, just let himself into the user's locked apartment through a connecting door. He claimed he just wanted to say hi again, but the whole thing felt deeply unsettling. Trying to shake it off, the user took a shower and told themselves they were just being paranoid from listening to too many scary stories. And that's when they saw it. In the corner of the bedroom were two chairs. One of them had ropes tied around the armrests. These weren't for decoration, and they weren't holding the chair together. They were just loose loops of rope, waiting. Suddenly, all the excuses vanished, replaced by pure cold fear. The overly friendly host, the secret connecting door, and now a chair that looked like it was meant for restraining someone. The user didn't wait around for an explanation. They called their brother in the middle of the night, who came and picked them up immediately. They left everything, got in the car, and never looked back. To an outsider, maybe it's just a weird landlord and a strange chair. But to this user, it felt like they'd just walked out of the first scene of a horror movie they refused to star in. Sometimes, the danger is a gut feeling telling you to get the hell out. But what happens when you can't just run? What happens when the horror is a memory so burned into your mind that it follows you home, and maybe brings something else along with it? This next account was shared by a user recounting their time in the Air Force. The story doesn't start with a ghost, but with a tragedy that's all too real. They were called to a scene where a fellow service member had taken their own life. The user described it with haunting detail. The smell, the quiet aftermath, a kind of visceral trauma they knew they'd carry with them long after their deployment was over. But the horror didn't stay overseas. Sometime later, back in the States, the real terror began. The user was home, in their locked house, when they heard it. Noises. Footsteps. At first, it's easy to write off. It's just the house settling. It's an overactive imagination, maybe triggered by the trauma they'd endured. But the sounds got louder, more distinct. It was impossible to ignore. Someone else was in the house. Gripped by a fear they hadn't felt since being deployed, they called 911. The police arrived, swept the home, and the immediate threat was gone. But what they found was a new kind of nightmare. The entire house had been ransacked, every room turned completely upside down. Was it a random burglary? A terrifying, awful coincidence? Or did the haunting scene they witnessed overseas somehow follow them back, bringing a physical terror right to their front door? The internet is filled with unexplained encounters where a person's instinct was the only thing standing between a normal day and a story they shouldn't have lived to tell. If you've ever had an experience that left you shaken, share it in the comments below. For more terrifying stories from the web, don't forget to like and subscribe.